Welcome to the Executive Innovation Show podcast, where we bring you real executive conversations with industry game changers and thought leaders. We ask the questions you're thinking, what you're scared to ask, and we make your brain hurt afterward. With your host, Carrie Chitsey, co-founder and CEO of One Touch Video Chat, live video interviews, and the nonprofit Humans Helping Humans.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Knowledge Nugget. We're going to be talking about what is telepsychiatry and why is there a rising demand for it pre and post-COVID. I want to start by talking about just an overview of what is telepsychiatry. When we refer to telepsychiatry, we're really talking about the psychiatric assessment and or evaluation of the patient. This can be in the form of just the psychiatrist to the patient, regardless of their location. It can be referred to the psychiatry consultation in regards to medication management, either prescribing medication or ongoing, the continuum of care. And it also can be referred to provider. So we're seeing more and more where you have at a facility a primary care physician or an ER doc that is then doing a consultation with psychiatry for a telepsych consult. So with the shortage, with rural access, there's been a huge increase in telepsychiatry as we look at facilities, whether it's a SNF, whether it's long-term care, even senior living facilities that aren't in those classifications. In addition, there's a rising demand in clinics and FQHCs, school systems, and so kind of both sides of the coin of youth as well as senior from that perspective, as well as within hospital systems where they don't have psychiatry on staff or there's a limited number of staff, they might have outside resources doing that. As we look at the demands and the increase in telepsychiatry, there's a lot going on in doing admission forms, looking at doing assessments and evaluations prior to admission and doing that in a remote manner for rural demographics, for demographics that have shortages. Even in urban areas, there's big shortages in psychiatry. When we look at schools and you have therapists there or you have counselors there and doing psych, they're trying to reduce ER admissions. There's new regulations that have come out that have kind of got put on pause because of COVID. That's really in relation to it putting somebody in a SNF or going from acute or rehab to a SNF for short-term stay, especially for Medicare and Medicaid, to do that telepsych evaluation on admission into a SNF. They're not staffed for that. There's not resources there, so we'll see an increasing need there. Same thing with chronic care conditions, whether it's a renal patient or oncology. There's a lot of psych as well there, as well as hospice. And so as we have seniors aging at home, as we have folks at home facilities, those psychiatrists are going to need to be able to go across wherever the patient is, regardless of location. As we look at youth, as we look at CPS, as we look at foster care systems, there's telepsychiatry. That's a growing need there to be able to do it in a very timely fashion, then 24, 48 hours. A lot of times it's very hard to transport a youth and get them. They need to be with a case manager or they need to be with their social worker. And so being able to do that remotely. And then as we have the mental health need during COVID, this has increased dramatically as well. So as we close today, I want to talk about the benefits of telepsychiatry. Number one, it will improve the access to care. So for these areas where time is sensitivity, there's a shortage, it will allow that to be done remotely. It'll allow psychiatrists to be able to service a broader reach within driving distance within that state. Obviously, because of COVID, state lines have been lifted right now, but as we go back to some type of what the new normal is, that will still be there. Regardless of the patient's location. So as we talk about SNFs, as we talk about seniors, It's very hard to get caregivers involved, transportation. We talk about population health, FQHCs, being able to provide that without having to get rides, convenience, transportation, things of that nature. Most importantly, I think the benefit is really about that instant access to care. When you're looking for an assessment and to do a telepsych consult, that the time to get that completed is critical, and to find out what needs to happen to that patient is very critical to reduce that time that we're seeing in the U.S. right now with those shortages, and get that done almost instantaneously through telehealth, through telepsychiatry. And then really reducing those ED admissions as the ongoing continuum of care, as we're talking about medication management, as we're talking about ongoing care, as we're talking about moving them from the psych evaluations to maybe therapy or medication, whatever that may be. That will really help with continuing that care, reducing no-show rates and readmission and relapse rates from that standpoint. So that's today's Knowledge Nugget. As always, please subscribe to get your weekly podcast and Knowledge Nugget delivered on your podcast player of choice. Please let us know if you have any questions, and stay tuned.
This podcast has come to a close. To hear more from the Executive Innovation Show podcast, subscribe, submit questions, and share the love. Follow us on social. We're everywhere.